So it's always nice to take a moment and really observe how you're, like, just where you're placing yourself and how wherever you are, I'm guessing like maybe in your home somewhere, um, that it's almost like you turn your space into a sacred space just by um, stopping and grounding, kind of merging with your surroundings. Like as you look around where you are, it's easy to go like, oh my gosh, I need to tidy up, or like some feeling of things could be better. But, or, just right where you are, this is your home. And then we look closely like, oh, actually, my body really is my home. So as we start to settle in, we'll go ahead and I'm just going to mute everyone, and it can help to close your eyes and just maybe take some deeper breaths. How we recognize like you've already done kind of the hardest part is, there is some wisdom that really brought you here, because doing this work is, it's not that easy. Sometimes called like the road less traveled, where we stop, we knowingly put down all of our wanting and our craving. I mean, really, you could notice this like, oh, I want so much. It's like I'm kind of a wanting monster, It's like, and I say that in a lighthearted way. So I'm just gonna stop, you know, not even meditating yet, just what seeing what happens when you stop. The body moves to stillness. And I just like to play at first with that feeling of grounding, settling. And as the body is settling, it's even a feeling like I'm just letting go of tension. All of the ways that I tend to get tight, just letting that go right now. We have kind of that balance of letting yourself settle or soften. And then there's that quality of alertness, uprightness. So there's a real balance of these. The skin is soft. There's a sense of spaciousness. So this kind of naturally happens when we relax, and like if you soften your throat. So you bring awareness to your throat. Throat softens. And maybe a feeling of just a spacious quality around your throat, your mouth. We notice all of this, the grounding, the cultivating space. This doesn't accidentally happen. It's interesting. It doesn't take a lot of effort, but it's just not our habit. So we're creating or growing this habit. Just being upright and at ease. So we notice what's going on right now. Do you feel sleepy or drowsy? You know that feeling like, uh-oh, I'm gonna fall asleep. Or do you feel a little more restless? The mind is all over the place, and you might have that feeling like, oh, maybe I'll just leave class now. Um, so we just notice, like, well, what's the energy today? What's going on? How does your body feel? We notice without needing to fix anything. Often we like to jump and fix. But as we get more interested, like in being relaxed and really bright and alert, when we cultivate those, that can have a byproduct of being completely here, a balanced energy. So I find too, if it's something feels out of balance, I can do a physical practice, like a little deeper inhale, and then a deeper exhale. You could imagine like your whole body is kind of like a sponge. where you really soak in the inhale and you like squeeze out your exhale. You just feel your whole body receiving the breath and the exhale, that ah. You could even say to yourself, like, inhaling, 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 and as you're exhaling, 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 exhaling. So you're really absorbed in that experience of breathing and how it can help to let go of tension and bring awareness right here. Your face is soft. So let us move into just a little time of sharing some of the teachings. I find that if we're interested in doing this work, what leads to peace or harmony with the way things are, um, that it it's um, easier when we receive some of the teachings that have been shared for many centuries, and we receive some of the teachings and then we have to then practice them. So or we kind of make them our own. They're meant to be practiced, really, instead of just because there's some really great Dharma books out there that are just a really good read. So hopefully then when we read this, that it inspires us to kind of stay on this path and not wander or get lost and then end up where we all know that feeling of just being tight and the heaviness of stress. So I'm just going to share. This is one of the book group that I'm in that's studying the teachings of this teacher Ajahn Chah, and um, I've been studying him for about a year and a half now. And I mean, some of these teachings would come off as being either simple or almost kind of obvious, but there's also a depth to them that we practice kind of taking to heart. And this is really just in this chapter called then kind of it's called Dhamma nature, which is the nature of Dharma. And Dharma, I think a good translation is simply the way things are. Like when we look really closely at the nature of things, like how things are right now. And we're not seeing things how we want them to be. So we're very honest and we see things clearly how they are. So he's like, so Dhamma nature, we often use the word nature then. And I'm going to focus just a bit on that word nature. So he says, sometimes when a fruit tree is in bloom, a breeze stirs and scatters blossoms to the ground. Some buds remain and grow into a small green fruit. A wind blows and some of them too fall. Still others may become fruit or nearly ripe, or some even fully ripe before they fall. And so it is with people. Like flowers and fruit in the wind, they too fall in different stages of life. Some people die while still in the womb, others within only a few days after birth. Some people live for a few years, then die, never having reached maturity. Men and women die in their youth. Still others reach a ripe old age before they die. When reflecting upon people, consider the nature of fruit in the world or fruit in the wind. Both are very uncertain. And he goes on to say, so in this book, he's talking a bit about monastic life, about monks living in a monastery. He says, this uncertain nature of things can also be seen in the monastic life. Some people come to the monastery intending to ordain, but change their minds and leave. Some with heads already shaved. Others are already novices, then they decide to leave. Some ordain for only one rains retreat, then disrobe. Just like fruit and the wind, all very uncertain. Our minds are also similar. A mental impression arises, draws, and pulls at the mind. Then the mind falls, just like fruit. So it's just a simple way of just kind of remembering kind of the nature of nature, how unpredictable it is, how even in the practice we just did, we are kind of merging with nature. And I remember someone saying, using the phrase, nature always wins. You know, like we sometimes like to think that we're in control of things. But ultimately, we yield and we remember again and again that nature is uncertain, it's unknown. And then this practice is, can we be at peace with that? Because sometimes, things can happen in our life that are almost shocking of how unfair something might seem. We can barely wrap our mind around it of how unfair something can seem, the injustice in the world. And really, the teachers will say, it's possible to be at peace with this. In other words, being like allowing in any kind of hatred, any kind of, well, the three roots, greed, hatred, and any any kind of way that we kind of ignore or we're delusional and we don't want to see the nature of things, that these lead to deep stress and pain and suffering. So when, even now, when we do this simple act of sitting, whether we know it or not, this is what we're doing. We're merging with nature. We're kind of saying, yes, you know, I'm understanding deeper and deeper. I'm seeing into like what is called the lawful unfolding of nature, that I can be at peace with this. I mean, you might even have things going on in your life right now, your own health issues, you know, someone around you who you know is like, oh, you know, they're going through something. And when we can breathe and open to this, and I'm not saying we have to like it, but as we see this as nature, I mean, that's when we really connect with life, actually. And we can be of benefit to people around us. And as, you know, whatever they're going through, we can really be there for them. We can be there for ourselves. We understand self-care. So when we will practice now, we'll go ahead and just, you might reposition yourself in some way. Can I be kind of this like merging with nature? We could just name this, all of its messiness. So taking a couple deeper breaths in a physical way, you might feel your body opening. It's sometimes called like around your heart, like the heart softens and opens. If we're not like merging with nature and the way things are, then we're kind of shutting down. No, it's like if I just tense up and you know, we feel like we're protecting ourselves in some way. Being with things as they are, and it really wakes us up. The mind, like, wow, You know what I'm noticing right now is that I'm alive and breathing. So looking closely, the maybe space inside of your mouth, you can carry tension, mouth or the throat. So you could say to yourself, honey, that's not helping. I'm going to soften my mouth, my throat. I'm just letting this feeling of like life just flowing, merging with nature. I don't need to bristle in any way. Sometimes described as the feeling of energy. Feel the energy that you're made of. Nature, this mystery of aliveness. There might be a rising of just kind of a nameless pleasantness. When you take one complete breath, where you're fully here. So you might notice things that you don't typically notice, what it feels like. When you're breathing, what it feels like when the eyes are completely relaxed, or when thoughts come in, even images might come in, and you practice just letting them go. Could just be clear, yeah, I'm not going to ponder that right now. Be a really simple experience. I'm a person sitting and being. Really focusing on what you're sensing or feeling. This is not a time to ponder anyone else. And if it helps, you could actually bring in images of nature. The image of a lake. You could imagine you're sitting at the base of a tree. Be leaning against the tree, and you can feel that connection to nature. Appreciating the air, breathing, the feeling of the air on your skin. Can be a lot of letting go in this practice. But through that letting go is a deep connection. In a way, savoring this present moment. This September 1st. An actual feeling of that space inside your mouth and around your skull, your brain. How you can choose to bring that in. This merging with nature is like a coming home. So this um, time spent doing this work, it can sometimes be quite a roller coaster of experience. Of sometimes it feels good. Other times, like, oh my gosh, I'm the worst meditator ever, and just to kind of watch that I call it like the zigzag of practice. And that's natural.